And they use a spud
Yeah.
they sometimes would float several blocks together.
Now you pulled these blocks out by hand and put them up on the ice.
Mhm.
How did you load them? Did they have something on wheels or a runners to roll them
They
up
may have
on?
had a chute with a rope that you could pull them up on. I don't know, what mostly
God,
Scandinavians,
that's
I
heavy.
guess.
I
Did they
think
not store
probably
it in
that
sawdust?
that's where he got all his muscles, is lifting that sort of thing.
That's work.
They put
It's like-
sawdust between them, didn't they?
Oh, yeah, well,
Yeah,
that makes,
that's
of
what I
course,
thought.
well,
That's what I've always heard.
we had an ice house that was probably, well, 12 or 14 feet square and 10 or 12 feet high. And,
Full of sawdust.
yeah, you put a layer of sawdust and then a layer of ice and try and put a little sawdust between them so they don't freeze together. And then another layer of sawdust and keep building it up, and after a while you got a cake of ice that's pretty big.
Yeah, because I can remember going down there and digging around in the sawdust at Hates
Oh,
to
yeah.
find the ice in the summertime.
I heard, I helped down there once when they were filling ice. They're filling the ice out. Of course, they had the chutes and so forth. And we used to have a chute. You know, we'd put it up in there because after a while it got pretty high.
See, Fran Pullis tells about picking up blocks of ice, and one on each fender, somewhere near Oneonta or down near Mount Vision Lawrence, somewhere. When he would come up here and bring 2 blocks of ice up, and then stick them in the ice box when he got up here.
Well, I can remember doing that from the farm. We got a cake out of the ice house and put it on the fender of the car and drove up when we were renting up here.
Where did you rent? The,
Olmsted.
I thought, I remember.
Now, is that the one next to Steffi's?
Olmsted's. It
Uh-huh.
was,
Yeah.
Pigeons,
Pigeons,
yes,
right.
Pigeons now.
Now, Steffi's was either that one or the next one to it was Champlin's father,
The
Dr.
We Met. The We
We
Met
Met.
house was
Oh,
Champlin's,
Ray
Dr.
Ray
Champlin.
No, no, that's that. I think it was, my recollection was that Champlin that is the one that's been built up on.
The one that's the new
Rother
one?
Mills, Rother
Oh, the
Mills.
Rother.
No,
The next to it. The,
or up from it.
That's not what Mary Austin said. Mary Austin said it was We Met's.
Used to be in that.
Well, the Metz was built brand new, but the Champlin is still there. The basic camp, as I remember it. But then they built a second story on it, and they built a.
Delicio?
Axoid? Oh, Axoid.
Yes, right.
Okay.
I think that
Bard?
was I'm not sure, but that was my understanding. That was the Champlin
More
camp.
than one.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe there's more than one.
Well, that's not,
No.
that's
Jim
not too
Champlin.
far from.
Well, it's right next to Pigeons where you rented.
Right.
It's just on the other
Olmsted.
side.
Olmsted.
Right.
Oh, well, I thought it was right in there because I remember when he was the district health officer or something, wasn't he?
I don't know.
I think it was Ray Champlin and his wife taught. I think she taught in Hartwick a little bit. I forgot now. She was in maybe nursing or something.
Now, Steffi's camp was owned by somebody from Hardwick who worked in the feed store. I think.
Well, that was. No. Withdraw that.
I can't remember now. Carlton Roberts?
Carlton Roberts owned the one just beyond Hates. Huh?
Which side of Hates?
No, the other side.
The other side,
The other side.
No,
Tubes.
well, it's two.
No, that tomb
Mathers.
is recently, comparatively recently built. It was that green one that's. I remember that was would be next to, between Journey's End and
Between Journey's End and Hates?
I
Yeah.
think.
No, there isn't any, there's nothing in there now between Journey's End and Hates.
No, I mean,
Hates and
Hates and
Hates.
Mathers?
yeah, Hates was there as long as I can remember. Mathers
was?
was not.
Oh,
now was
Hates.
Hates did Hates originally build that or somebody else?
I don't think so. I think that Fayette DeLong built it.
Really? That for himself?
That's been remodeled too. For that.
Oh.
They
Yeah.
took the
Yeah,
porch
they
off.
changed.
Yeah.
But it just, because I'm relatively sure that DeLong built it, and I could
Did
be
they
wrong.
have children?
Yeah, Phyllis, and she recently died.
Because I remember him when he was custodian at the Portlandville School.
And
When
then
we were
Hates,
there.
Huh?
Wasn't DeLong the custodian at the elementary school in Portlandville?
Well, not the.
Maybe it was a different one now.
There was a DeLong. She worked in the cafeteria, didn't
I thought he was custodian.
That was at one time, back in 1930, I think, he and his wife ran the homestead.
Lorenzo's? The
The-
restaurant?
Yeah, my sister, when she got married in 1930, had a reception there.
Well, when you were principal, who was the custodian down at Portlandville?
Morris Rowland. He used to be on the farm where your people lived down at Edson Corners there,
Not the
Not
Baker
one?
place.
No, the Armstrong.
I still think there was a DeLong.
he? Yeah, Morris wasn't there when we were, because I knew
Yeah.
him. It was
Well,
DeLong. He lived in that trailer until he
yeah,
died
but
there.
Fayette DeLong was, he couldn't be he wouldn't have been able to be a janitor.
Okay, now down here where the Camp America is now, what was there originally?
That was a camp that was built in the late 30s by
Dunbar.
Was it
Dunbar.
Mrs.
Dunbar.
So
I think that was
Walter
the original.
Dunbar.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I
that,
think that
painter
was the
and all that.
original.
yeah,
And the Camp America was built by their daughter,
Doris.
Doris.
Yeah.
Oh, the
The
original
old-
is
The
The
original
original
is
is
that
the small,
small
old
one.
one.
Right,
Okay.
right.
The middle of the three that
Right.
he's redone.
Yeah.
That was
Right.
the original.
Right.
The other one was built,
Yeah, Doris and Ken
I
Kyle.
don't know, in the 60s,
Yeah.
70s?
Yeah,
60s,
Doris
I would
was-
say.
yeah.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
the 60s. Yeah.
We camped right where that is once, long before it was there, and we'd gotten smart. We didn't want any more ransacked tents. So we cut a crotch stick and a long board, and somebody had a piece of canvas. So we threw it over the board, and that was the tent.
Yeah, that was right up to modern.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
That old camp that looks so horrible down there as you walk down, that was one of the original camps up
The
there,
Ore
too.
Shack?
Orshak, the old Orshak?
It's
Really?
Greens, isn't it?
Yeah.
Greens?
I don't know who it is now.
Yeah,
Green.
Ward Greens.
Next to it was a camp built by a guy named Peasley.
Is that where
Lawrence.
Pete Young,
Yeah.
Pete Hooks is? The gardener
Or on the
camp?
same
No.
side of the road?
No, we're
That's on-
talking
on
about
the
coming
back
from the
road.
farm,
What?
going east along the
Hatcher?
lake.
Yeah.
Hatcher is next to the farm. and-
Right.
Right.
That was all.
Oh, the 4 E's?
There was
4
nothing
E's.
there.
Oh,
When I was a kid, when Eleanor Peasley, who lived in that second camp, had her horses down there.
Second camp, the 4 E's?
No.
No.
Oh, where?
Where?
Second camp.
As you walk along, there were no camps
Right.
between the farm and that beat-up old camp that's there
Shoals.
now.
Or,
Falling down.
Green.
The old
The
orchard.
one where the roof is, the chimney is.
Yeah, well, the porch is full of
Yeah.
junk
It's
and,
across the road from the lake.
right.
Yeah.
And next to it, there's a camp with a stone wall around the.
Oh, it's a garage. Actually,
and a
it's
garage right
Garage.
there.
Right.
That was
That's
Peasley.
Peasley.
Yeah.
there was nothing all the way along there.
No.
No,
Oh
no.
my word.
And up behind it was basically grown up pasture. It
You know-
was no woods.
The West Hall place was more of a home type building than most of them along there. You know where
Where's
West
that?
Hall?
West Hall.
Well,
That's,
well, the Shove. You remember the Shove? Wasn't that a Shove camp where Minnie
Yeah.
Hungerford is?
well, that's one that's tucked in. The show camp was the better one up back, wasn't it?
On which side?
The one that you're talking about where the wall is and the garage and so forth, and then sort of up back.
that one.
Out back, 4 E's,
Right next to it.
yeah. And then up back of that,
That was Shove. That,
No,
that
they
one up
stopped
on the
now.
no, there was a big house,
yeah.
and then the next one was Shove.
Show was next. And that was built-
Davis.
David.
That's the one you're talking
Peasley.
about. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, Davis's was Peasley.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
Where
thought
that
was
wall
Lake.
is falling in
Then
and the
where
roof
was
of the garage.
Well, there's more than one show.
Well, there was. Ed
Because
Show
they're
was
using-
over at Ian Diorio, but then there was.
right. There's
but,
a show.
But Minnie Hungerford's was a
There's
show
a
camp.
show
Oh, yeah?
right here,
Uh,
across from Young.
That was sort of
Or-
built,
It was just a piece in there.
yeah, and the show camp was up back of it. So.
Was West Hall's?
No, that was built by McKenna. They were from Ilion, and they were distant relatives of ours somehow. And
But the other
that's
one.
relatively late, you know, it was built later.
Who's the principal? Former principal?
Where?
Right there by Hall's.
Grant.
Grant. Was that the Shove camp?
Probably.
Grant.
Yeah.
And then that little thing of Minnie's is a pie shape, just a little
Yeah,
tiny
it's,
piece of
I
land.
don't know how they carved that out there, but it must have been on the show lot, or maybe.
So I'm not paying attention. Show was the one between Davis and Hungerford now?
No.
Oh, the
Shove
other
would have
side
been
of
on
it.
the
Other
the
side.
Bob Grant.
It's kind of purple and
Yes.
or something now.
But that West Hall camp then was more recently built.
Yeah, I mean. it
But that was
wasn't-
more, that wasn't just a camp.
There was really nothing down that end. There were about
No.
3 camps.
That's right.
These are all
the-
fairly recently
The
built.
Peasley camp was one of the originals,
Yeah.
and they, on this side of the road, the Three Oaks
Three Oaks.
was the only one.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Did Horace, did he build the White House?
Yeah, that little.
Rogers?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so he did build that.
yeah,
but that was well after the
later.
war.
Oh, yeah.
Later.
Well, after what?
I think that was after the war.
After the war?
Horace Harrison was a wheeler dealer. I think figured he was going to make a fortune by buying that.
That whole,
He's
Hill.
got that whole hill up there.
Well, anybody could have made a fortune if they'd known that I'm out in this Fritz camp over here. I know, I can remember either before, I haven't just before, or long about wartime, was for sale for $600. And, you
Well,
know, if you could
If you could only have bought the whole damn lake.
Lake, you know.
well, you got Scatchards that bought this whole side. They did pretty well, I'm
So
sure.
of course they were here before there were any camps founded, weren't they?
Just about, because
I don't think-
I've got an abstract up. It's a copy of Nancy's abstract, and that takes you back to just about everything in there. Now there were some chunks that was very early on, but it really started, as far as I can tell, in the early 30s.
Is when Mrs. Scatcherd started selling off parts.
Yeah.
Now her daughters are
Barbara
Laird
Laird, Nancy Launt,
and Obie
and
Jones's.
Yeah.
Obie
Oh,
Jones.
yeah.
Mrs.
Susan-
Scatcherd was the
Susan
daughter
Jones.
of the, can't remember her name. It was her, Nancy Lane's grandmother.
Yeah.
Was the
Scatcherd
Scatcherd.
was the grandmother.
Okay.
And it was Lane. Then it
Right.
was Lane.
So, okay,
And then the four girls.
who's the fourth one?
Betty.
Betty, who's Betty?
Betty. She lives down toward New York, I think. And
And is
always
she
has. I don't know what her
Well,
last name
then
is.
where does Storer come in? She's,
Doesn't.
yes,
I don't think
she is related to them.
I don't think so. I don't know.
She's a cousin of somehow.
But I don't know.
Well, the Scatchards used to live in Milford, you know.
Really?
As you go, that is the going way back, because Newt, the son at that time, lived there. There were two children, Jean and Newt.
Scatcherd.
Yeah, and they lived as you come out of Milford going toward Cooperstown and go down around the
bend.
curve there. The first house used to be a very nice house on the left.
The Glennaberry house?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. And in fact, Newton Scatcherd just recently died. He went to, I don't know, Yale or somewhere and became a doctor and was, I don't know whether he was the head of it, but the cancer clinic in Buffalo. And he just, I saw something recently, he just, I think, passed away. He was about 90.
So that would
No,
have been
that's-
Nancy's uncle?
Must
Or
be.
great uncle?
I don't know how that,
It's a
Uncle.
great
I don't know how that would work.
I thought one of
He-
the Scatchards had a
Scatcherd.
pharmacy in Oneonta.
That's the family.
That's the family of Scatchards that were here.
Well, and that's the one that I'm
That-
speaking of.
Oh,
He was
And that's
he
the
was a
one-
pharmacist down
Pharmacist
there.
in Oneonta.
okay, that's
City-
the one
they
Nancy
lived-
Long
they
calls the
moved to-
grandparents.
Huh?
Right.
That's Nancy
But-
Long's
That's
grandparents.
right.
But Nancy's uncle would have been what he's talking about. See, Nancy's
Thank you.
Oh,
mother.
I thought you just said that was the grandparents.
No,
Well,
No.
I don't know.
Scatcherd was a farm down there.
Hmm?
The Scatcherd farm was down on this side of the hill.
Yeah.
And he was, I remember him as a pharmacist down in the
Oh,
city.
he was he was a pharmacist.
The son.
The son. And the daughter would be Mrs. Long's mother.
Grandparents.
No, I don't think so.
Scatchards that owned what was Armstrong's are Nancy Long's grandparents that sold this whole side of the lake.
Yeah.
That's Scatcherd, who originally owned it. And he was a pharmacist in Oneonta.
But I think,
I don't know how.
I think he originally lived in Milford and then they moved to Oneonta because they, now maybe we're talking about
I have no idea what I'm
maybe
talking
we're
about, but that never
another
stops me.
generation. But I was pretty sure that they lived there for a time anyway. But where would Jean? There were two children. I don't know.
Well, Nancy's mother was married Elaine, must be.
Could that have been Jean, the daughter that I'm speaking of?
I wonder if it isn't.
Could have been.
I don't know that
I bet
mother's
it was.
name. I just
Because I know
the
that the
grandparents
son
were
wasn't
Scatcherd.
around because he was a doctor in Buffalo.
That's probably the
Probably,
way it goes.
yeah.
Probably as Jean as that daughter.
So there were 4 girls. I thought maybe
And
it was
then Lane
just
and
3.
4 girls. No, 4 girls.
They all had chunks of land that were given to them by their mother.
Yeah. So that
Some
was
of
all
them
kept. Sold.
Sold it to Nancy.
Oh, they did. So
Yeah.
she's got a bigger piece there.
Well, I think Betty did.
Yeah, there were
Certainly
three. There were
Barbara
3.
Laird has hers, and Susan is Jones, and that was, Nancy went through all this. I think that was the
That was
Lane, or the original Lane house where Jones are now.
I think so.
Yeah.
That was Nancy's sister that Mary Jones.
And there's also another one where Sparacos sold to Tobin's. That was I think that was another cottage that belonged to the family. Do you remember a sawmill down here?
Yes. Pretty well down toward that Salisbury place that I was mentioning, down by the fire road. They sawed off or sawed the timber down there.
Is it would it be between the lake on that road, between the lake and the fire lane?
Mhm.
Okay.
Down.
Between the lake and the fire lane.
Mhm.
And if you're walking down from here to the fire lane, it would be on the left or the right?
On the right, I think. It was down, there's a little stream that goes down through there, and it was
Not right along.
not far from that, I think.
Do you remember?
No.
I've heard talk about it, and some people said it didn't exist, and other people said it did.
Well, you used to be able to come up in there, and it mostly was then timbered off, you know. But then there was a sawmill over, Seth Martindale place, you know, once.
That was all part of the CCC camps, wasn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
all that timber was planted.
Yeah, I guess afterwards. See, they took over all those farms in the 30s there, and then Roosevelt was governor and started planting trees.
Now, all these trees were here when you were a kid, on that side?
On this side, yes.
Now, were these planted, or they just
They
came by
just grown.
themselves?
Now, did you come up here as a teenager and stay here summers?
So I came up when I was about 13.
Were there, obviously there weren't a lot of other kids around your age then?
No, I was pretty much alone until see, we lived originally in Mount Vision, and that was kind of in the middle of nowhere. And then when I came up here, I didn't know anybody from Oneonta and there wasn't the kind of moving around that people do now, you know. I had one of the first motorboats on this lake. I had a 1.5 horse engine. That was the only other motorboat that I was aware of at that point. Charlie Beckley had, and that was he had a. You remember that boat by any chance? It was a great big boat. I say great big boat, but it had one of those engines that you start by twisting the top wheel. It had a battery, and you start it, and it goes pop, 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 pop. Every night he used to go around the lake, and that pop, 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 pop.
Take a long time.
The only other one, the early boat, was a high-speed boat that belonged to that end camp where the boathouse is.
Which is now Hanson.
No.
Or Diorio.
Where the Orioles.
There was a boathouse.
Yeah, and there was a guy from Oneonta who was a pure pain in the rear end that used to own that thing.
That wasn't
He
that
won-
wasn't show
No, he wound up in jail, as a matter of fact.
because he had a
What was his
powerful
name?
engine.
Was that Dale's?
Dales.
Oh,
That,
Roger
his-
Dales. Is that Roger Dales?
Roger Dale.
Yeah, and his father owned the partial camp, bought the partial camp first, and then Roger was going to do wonderful things and have a ski slope over the hill there. Yeah, I wonder if they ever got out of jail. He hadn't ought to, but
Yeah.
So did he have the boat down here or over here?
no.
It was probably, I've seen it, it was out on the lake. It was an old wooden boat with an outboard motor inside it. Maybe out 3
just
times.
said it would go down the lake in 10 seconds. You know, it's like it was such a humongous boat.
No, well, it didn't go that fast.
Oh, that fast.
Now, which one was the partial camp? You just said.
Falls.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
It's his grandfather. It
Oh,
was his
it was?
uncle.
Was his
Roger.
uncle?
Roger Dales was his
Why
uncle.
did he go to jail?
Well, he, I guess
Allegedly.
wasn't, I don't know, but he was in trouble all the time.
Yeah.
And his father, Miles Dales, that ran a piano store in Oneonta, as I recall. And he was always into something, and I've forgotten now what it was, fraud of some kind, I expect.
Yeah, I don't know what it was either.
I
He
have
was-
no
he
idea,
was-
but I
This
knew
is
now
Roger.
that they put him over the road for a while.
Yeah. I think everybody heaved a big sigh of relief when he
Yeah,
went.
yeah.
Took his boat off the lake. So that was this boat from this boathouse down here.
Whatever happened to that, I haven't the faintest idea. It was a green
Yeah.
boat.
Oh, the boat. I don't remember the boat, but I remember
And
the
it-
boat. Yeah,
What? Who owned it or what? But he used to operate it once in a while.
yeah.
And
Now, when you were up here staying summer, did you used to have campfires in the evening, like the Feldmans do now?
no,
And
not. Yes, as a matter of fact, we did. Right next to your place over here, you'll see there's that broken
yes,
down.
Yeah.
The reason that stopped being used is because that was my grandfather made that. Put it all together and used the stones that went in it. Well, the stones were the flat kind that when they get too hot blow up.
Oh no!
And we used to. One of the wonderful things about Arnold Lake was that you could go down to Cooperstown and get steaks at the Clark
Oh, yes.
Meat market.
meat market,
Yes.
you know, and a couple of times we brought those glorious 2-inch steaks up here and cooked them on there, and a damn stone blew up.
Ruined your stay.
Right. So that's why that thing got knocked down.
So much for bonfires.
But that was built before our addition was put on there.
It would be a little close now.
That would have been way back. Our camp up on the hill was originally a garage. If you notice when you're up there,
Oh, yeah.
my grandfather built that. He had this 1932 Marmon, which was that was a car in the category with Buick. It was a good car, not the Cadillac, but it was a heavy car. And as a matter of fact, he gave that to me. That was my first car. But he built that garage to put his car in, and also he wherever he went, he had to have a workshop across the lake. In that garage you were talking about over there, he had a complete workshop. He had this workshop up here. The only problem was that when it rained, he couldn't get his Marmon up that hill. You know, the power in the cars back then were a vastly different thing than they are now, but that just wouldn't go up the hill. So ultimately it was brought down, and we made a camp where my father and mother made a camp out of it, and then they put the addition on, and that's how that came to be.
Now the burner house is not your garage. The burner camp over there now at the top of the hill, where you said
No.
that is.
I don't think so. It was still there when they moved in it. But I think I don't know whether they remodeled that or rebuilt it. It's such it's not a fancy home, but that's where the garage was.
When you first came to Mount Vision, how did you get up here?
My car.
Car. Okay.
My father and mother had a 35 Ford. I can remember that.
Now, did you used to, at that time, did you pump water out of the lake at all? Did you have water in the camp at all?
No.
You could carry pails full?
The fresh water came from the spring down here.
Right
Where?
beyond mine.
Right.
Beyond yours?
Best water.
And
Oh.
I still have the letter that Clyde Wright wrote. or that was written to Clyde, telling him it was unfit for human consumption. I
Oh,
mean, they
that-
drank that forever. And then
That's
he made the
right.
mistake of having it tested, and it wasn't any good. And
They
everybody.
used to
Is this
come
where
from
Sylvia's?
all
Yeah,
over.
it's
Used
where
to
in
come
Mass-
all-
Oh, there were. That's the first thing that you did in the morning was.
Pipe came out.
Take
and I
the
can
boat up.
remember
I
when it-
remember that,
Yeah.
I think.
Everybody.
Well, I carried many buckets
But,
of water.
so that's
home.
what you used as drinking water.
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
What did you wash dishes in? Did you get water out of the lake to wash dishes in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You sure as hell didn't take that bucket that you carried all the way from there.
Wash dishes, huh?
Of course, the world was so different then. You know, our garbage, for instance, our garbage was all for all those years is buried in the field behind our house, because by the time you burned everything that could be burned, you had very little garbage. You know, there weren't very many cans. There weren't, and my grandfather had one of these things that flattened the can, so that. But I could dig a hole. That was one of my jobs up there, about 2 feet deep and 3 feet wide, and bury all our summer garbage in there. Now you'd fill it in one day.
Oh, yeah.
And
you
you'd
can't
also be
burn.
arrested.
Yeah. But this is, of course, the other thing is then you didn't have running water, and you had this little problem with what you call an outhouse.
Right.
Ours was up up on the hill where our present.
Where it is.
But that was another thing that you got to do every.
Did you
Other
do it in the
year.
spring?
Hmm?
Did you do it in the spring?
Do what?
Yeah, now what did you do?
What did you do?
You gotta be a little more specific
It
here.
was in a box, and you brought it out and put it in the wheelbarrow and lugged it up and dug a hole and buried it.
There was a box under the outhouse that you could pull out?
Well, it wasn't ours. A lot of them you just had to shovel it out.
Yeah, that's more than I thought.
But
Most of them
we
had an opening in the back, right?
Yeah.
And you either shovel it or pull a box out. 'Cause I never realized it was a box.
Well, ours was fancy. That was it was.
I think it's mine.
And did you? Of course, I know it depended on the season and everything else, but it had to be cleaned out regularly or yearly.
Every 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, you didn't. It would disintegrate.
Yeah,
And I could see doing it in the spring after it had 6 months to.
I'd say it was more like every 4 years or
Yeah.
so. that you-
Oh, I
you'd
see.
have
Okay,
to-
so it wasn't. Oh,
Oh, you got used to it after a while.
That was
You know,
like-
One of those chores that needs to be done.
Yeah.
like carrying in wood. You just didn't want to do it, but you did it.
But people now are used to life in those days was not anywhere near as neat and clean and fussy as it is now. You were used to a lot different things.
You walked to it for one thing.
Well, when before the war, on that side, I don't know about this side of the hill, from Mount Vision and Lawrence up, the power was from the railroad over there, and it was 25
25 cycles.
cycle electricity, and it didn't go beyond Route 105. There was nothing. All the farms, everything up here. Some of them had electricity, but they had their own generating systems.
Do you remember the New Lisbon Telephone Company?
Oh yes, you crank it. And
Yeah.
that was in Mount Vision. There was one telephone, maybe two. But if you wanted to call, you went down to Glen Tilly's store, and you called. And Glen Tilly, he had the Bell telephone. New Lisbon was the one that went all over.
Yeah, that handled Bow Hill and so
Yeah.
forth. And we see at the farm,
The
and
farm.
I assume that I've often wondered if the farmhouse up at the lake here was served by the New Lisbon Telephone Company. probably was, but.
Could well be.
Well, we had, there was a brief time, I can remember as a young kid, we had both. That is, the Bell telephone came, and that was Milford and the village, and you know. But we also had originally had the New Lisbon line, which connected all the farms. And but for a short period of time, we had both. After we got and
Yeah, Glenn had both.
people would call up from Milford. And they say, "Well, will you call so and so up on Bow Hill there and tell them that their package is here from?" And I can. It never impressed me. Only I remember one time. Somebody'd call, so my mother would go across the living room and get on the other phone and transfer the call, and she'd no longer get that done, and the phone would ring again, and so it was maybe the other way. Would you call up somebody in Milford and tell them this? So she, for about an hour, that's all she was doing. So we got rid of the New Lisbon phone.
Of course, I was Glenn Tilly. You know, he had that store in Mount Vision, but he had to have somebody on the run almost all day, carrying messages because he had the telephone.
I would think so.
Sure.
And he's the one that built this Tilly camp?
No, that was one of the old camps up here.
The Tilly camp? Or that?
It's
Which one
not
is
Tilly
the
now.
camp?
Tilly's Childs, or
Yeah.
that yellow camp.
Right.
Was that Tilly?
Yes.
That
But
was
he
the
didn't-
Tilly
he didn't
from
build
the
it.
store?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, the Tilly from the store
Right.
owned it,
Glenn
but he
Tilly.
didn't build it?
No. No, that was an old camp when he bought it, and that was right about after the war, I think.
Built after the war?
No.
Oh,
Oh, I'd say that was built.
Is that the one next to Hates?
No, it's,
Second one.
Toward.
it's by,
It's
next to
two
the one
down-
you called
Oh.
Pearly Wood?
yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
two down from
Right
Harrison's.
right on the lake.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then there's another one. I see. I'd forgotten it'd been built in there between.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Roberts from Hartwick.
Carl.
Carlton owned that for a while. Later, he worked for Harrison's.
Do you know who built it, or when it was built?
No, that was built before I.
Before you were here, so before your
so that was
grandfather
here
built it
when-
then?
Hmm?
Before your grandfather built his?
I don't
So
know.
did
If you had wanted the total history of the lake, if my grandfather was still around, you could
could
have
have
had
said it,
everything that was, because he was up here when it all started. When that
We're
place
piecing
was
it
built,
together
that was an
now.
old camp.
Okay.
It's not. It wasn't recently built.
Now, when you were up, when did you start bringing Rosemary up?
When after the war, she was teaching in Lawrence, and I was going to Hartwood College.
What would you do in the evenings? Would you play cards or is that not for?
There was Hartwood College at that time had two groups, the GIs and the young children. See. And when we come up here, we didn't play much cards, but we went through a hell of a lot of Seagram 7. That was,
A few cases of beer.
yes.
Did you used to walk around the lake?
Oh yeah,
Did you?
oh yeah. Walked around the lake, swam and boated, but that was the GIs, particularly the sailors, and after you didn't drink at all during the week, but come the weekend, and then you had a ball.
You didn't know what was
Yeah.
going on.
But that was, you know, when you were in the
Snowboard day.
Navy, you'd be at sea for 10 months, and when you got ashore, you made up for lost time. And I had some bad habits that way. And but that college, Hartwick was a different college then. It was the whole world was different.
After the war.
You know, our class was the top class that Hartwick had up until then. And again, these were the GIs who did nonsense at all during the week. They worked like the devil. But come the weekend, that's liberty.
I see that, according to the paper, that the city and the colleges are going to try and put a damper on some of this rowdyism that they've had downtown. And I think they should.
Now, did you ever have? Was there ever a time when townies or whatever thought this would be a good place to come up and use or abuse?
Who?
Well, people from Oleana or Milford or wherever would come up here to party and stuff when they didn't own any of the land or any of the camps. I mean, has it ever been?
I never remember anything like
I
that.
don't ever
It's always been a place that's pretty much under control.
It's always, well, for one thing, you know, down through the years, some nut would put a sign up pointing to Arnold Lake and
Oh, it always disappeared.
always
Yeah,
disappeared within
disappeared.
about 24 hours. But
So the
there's
feeling
an
is
awful
always-
lot of people around here where you say we're up at Arnold Lake and they look at you
Where?
and where?
Yeah.
Which is fine.
So
Which
it's
is-
really not been well known even
But this
from
is-
years gone by.
I don't ever remember any kind of abuse
I don't
like
either.
that.
No, I don't either.
Except for the vigilantes. The Sherman boys.
The Sherman boys, they must have been the most
They kept
exciting
things under
things.
control.
Giving law and order.
Oh, their trusty dog.
Who did out every cent.
Oh, gosh. Oh. Well, now, what about Henley's? Her father?
I think her father
Built that, Phillips?
built it, Dr. Phillips, and we rented that some. Of course, he was a good friend of my father.
How much rent did you pay? Do you remember?
Oh, I don't know. I think probably the standard rate might have been like $25 a month, or no, $25 a week maybe.
That's
That's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. Compared to how much would you have made? That's going to be a pretty
Of course,
lot of money.
Once, well, I don't know what we paid. That may be. I was thinking more of the Unstead, but I guess the time we had the Phillips camp, Doc came to the door or something and said, here's the key, and I'd like to have you use the camp up there. So,
Oh, wow.
he was that kind
That's
of a
nice.
guy. He was that kind of a guy, you know. He'd maybe drive up to some poor family up in the country and open his trunk of his car and unload a bushel of potatoes or, you know, stuff like that.
I was reading the Milford Tidings the other day that Claire and Charlie had saved about Morris flying people in here and landing on the lake for a party they had in the
Yes.
wintertime.
Yes.
And how many takeoffs and landings he'd had to do from
56. 56.
56?
Did it hold just one other
Yeah.
person, right?
Yeah.
We were,
From Sherman's farm
yeah,
up to here, right?
yeah, we were in on that.
Yeah.
Judy and I were present.
Now, other times you drove across the lake, right?
Oh yeah.
Which I
we
can-
came up for a party once, and the road was open, and of course you could get on the lake over at the outlet there. So we drove across and had the party over in front of Harrison's camp, and I had a little Hillman Husky then, and So the kids were interested in skiing, and I brought a tow rope along. Tried to that up.
Smart.
I didn't walk across the
Yes, on the ice.
You?
Yes.
You kids, oh, I thought he meant his friends.
Charlie had a Morris Minor. I mean, he actually drove across once.
Yeah, I think probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then,
I haven't heard any stories about Charlie in your camp yet.
Oh, I don't
You must know
any.
lots of
No.
stories.
But I remember reading that in that paper.
oh yeah, we,
you-
there were 14
There
of
were
us. and-
pictures of that. You had some pictures with
Yeah.
you all by the plane.
Oh yeah.
I wonder, they gotta be around someplace, if I just knew where.
Yeah, we had a good time. And,
Did you go in Harrison's camp, or did you stay outside
Well,
and
we
build a fire on the ice?
stayed outside most of the time, but the camp was open. And,
Did you do that often?
No,
Were you
we
up
only
there a
did
lot?
it the one time.
I mean, that's a lot of
56
takeoffs
times
and
in
landings.
Well, it took about 2 hours, even though it's, 2 miles by the way the crow flies probably from the farm up here, maybe a little less.
And Regina made a hole through the ice to get water to make coffee and so forth.
Was
Yeah.
it Christmas? Was it
Well, it
holiday?
was in the winter. I don't remember exactly.
I don't know. I know Morris and I think, cut a hole through the ice, and the ice was, if I remember correctly, 16 inches thick. So you really didn't have to worry about
Yeah.
driving a car on it.
It gets very thick.
Oh,
Does
it used
it
to be
have-
thicker than that.
But where there are springs, is the ice thinner?
I don't think so.
Because-
I don't know.
Well, I don't think that, of course, they always, talk about the air holes and so forth, and that would be, I suppose,
Could be.
if you had a spring that was
Well, really moving,
Active.
but we don't.
which was stirring the water constantly. But here the lake is deep enough so that I don't think it ever has.
Up on Oneida Lake, they do it's 30 miles long and about 5 miles, 6 miles wide, but it's very shallow, and they do a lot of fishing in wintertime. And usually the lake gains 2 or 3 more cars where they go through the ice because for some reason all of a sudden it'll be a shallow area, and they also you have a lot of nuts. As soon as there's 3 inches of ice, they're going to drive out in there.
Now, how shallow would you say it was?
The deepest part is probably about 20 feet. The north shore is the south shore. When my boat, it drew 8 feet, and it was very tricky getting. You couldn't get into any of the south shore.
It's
Areas.
quite treacherous too, isn't it?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
because it's
It's also, you see, it's the wind comes up, and you could, we lose 4 or 5 people a year that are out there fishing, and they're going to wait just 10 more minutes, and that hits, and the waves are short and stiff and fierce. It's a very dangerous lake.
Was there? I can remember as a kid, a year like now, when there's no water running out of the outlet, the farmers used to come up and open it up, and people weren't very happy about that. And they would fill it back in, and they'd come back
This
up.
way?
Yeah, because a lot of the cows, they relied on the water in the creeks to feed the cattle. And like now, when there's no water running out of there, it caused concern by some of the farmers.
So you don't have to worry about that anymore.
Are there no cattle down through there now?
No cows, no farmers. There used to be 2 or 3 dams on the creek, between here and this. I think starts here and flows into the river down in Portlandville there. And there used to be 3 or 4 different dams on the way down. There was one down there at Fred Martindale's, I think. And then there was one over in your woods. And then there was another one down back of the Hardy place, I think.
Now those dams serve no other purpose than just to hold back water.
No, I think they were.
I always tried to imagine in our woods that there was that chute that looked like it had been cut through stone. That maybe there at one time had been a mill or something.
That's why I think they were all little mills of one kind or
Another
another.
source of power.
I never saw it.
Because we used that one as a
Yeah.
swimming hole.
Well, I think all these streams used to have,
Little sawmills
little
or
grist mill or
grist
sawmill or whatever.
Way back, they all in Mount Vision. If you drive across that bridge and look north, you can still see the remains of the dam that was there. That was gone long before I was there, but it's still. But there was a good size. But that drove the Charlie Beckley's wood mill. By the time I was there,
Oh,
he
yeah.
changed it to a gasoline engine, and the dam was gone.
Yeah.
But there's the same dam in Lawrence. If you look up there, I don't know whether you can still see it or not, but there was another dam there. But every town
Yeah.
had those. That's where the power came from.
Now, did you do much fishing when you were up here?
Yeah.
Has it changed over the year, the kinds of fish that you get?
Oh, I went scuba diving, or not scuba, but snorkeling the other day and swam up. I saw one sunfish. Now,
See, you don't see them anymore.
Yeah, you're right.
before 10 years ago,
Right. They're all over the
there
place.
there have been fish all over the place, but they're not there. When we got mostly trolling, we get pickerel, which are fun
Do
to
they-
catch, but
Do they stock it?
Yeah.
they stock it with trout.
Do you think that's the reason that all the other fish are gone? Do you think they might eat the young of the sunfish, the perch, so there just aren't any more growing?
I think that probably has a good deal when they put that many good-sized trout in here. I'm sure they do a number on the.
Because I'm wondering what they're going to live on. You know, the sunfish are pretty much gone. You really don't see many bullhead left. And perch, it's unknown.
Perch are just gone. I haven't seen a
Aren't
perch in.
You still have bass around, but I just wonder if the trout aren't just feeding up on all the young, because nobody's catching anything.
I have a feeling that's. I think one problem we have is the outboard motors, which we have one over there too. But I think that does a number on the. You know, they used to breed on the shore, but now everybody has to have walls and rocks, and all the fish can't breed anymore in there. And when these boats come around, if they are breeding, they get smacked up against the wall. I don't know.
Well, we used to have a lot of bullfrogs.
Yeah.
There used to be a lot of bullfrogs in the lake. And
Oh, at night you
And the
Great.
turtles, I've seen one in several years now.
no.
you used to catch a lot of pickerel.
Oh yeah.
They're the ones with the teeth.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They're bony.
Very bony. They're not good eating.
There used to be several trees that were down in the water on the other side of your camp, down toward ours. And that's where we used to see frogs and fish and all that kind of
if
stuff.
you dove down that one tree that went out, it was all under the water. You could always see 4 or 5 bass down there, that big,
Yeah.
swimming around.
But they're all
But there,
Well, they,
there were people
Well,
that
your
leave trees in
son
the
caught
ground.
one
for
with a
nothing on
19
that-
inch.
yeah.
like this
Yeah,
one.
I haven't seen one like that. My gosh.
But the people next to us took that tree out. They cleaned all that out. And I
And
think
I
that's
think
one
that
of the
kind of
things that's
thing-
happened all the way around the lake. Everybody's cleaned up in front of their camps, and
so they can swim.
the old trees and the
They
old
used to be,
things.
you
that
got one
are-
down here, maybe you'll get fish coming out of this one. Frogs.
Yeah.
Did you ever catch frogs and chase frogs?
When I was a kid in Mount Vision, we used to spear
Not here.
frogs, but not up here.
There aren't
Frog's
any
legs.
suckers in here.
There never were. There were pickerel, bass, sunfish, and perch originally. And somebody, I don't know how many years ago, introduced the rock bass. They were not originally here. When I was a kid, there were
Now, is the rock a
Used to
small
be
mouth
some-
or a large mouth?
smallmouth.
Used to
They're,
be
they're,
some-
they're not even
Like a
bass.
sunfish, they're
Yeah.
color to them, green.
There used to be some bullheads too.
Yeah. Well, when I was a little boy, they down at the that camp, it was Tilly's. Who was there then? I don't know. But they used to catch those things and they'd have them in a big wash tub. You know, they're all
Yeah.
swimming around. They were tremendous. If you knew where to go, you could catch those and
The bullheads.
yeah.
I remember once I was a kid, I was invited up to Hates, I guess, and they had I think, flat bottom boat, and we were out and up toward the other end there, and Stuart took us fishing, and I was holding the pole, you know, and something grabbed it, and it was a bullhead about like that, you know, and I thought I'd caught a whale.
By the way, my son was just dangling his hand over the edge of the boat many years ago, and he lost a turquoise ring that I had bought him back in Colorado. And maybe somebody, sometime, might find it.
If you do, please send it to.
Yeah.
When Joe Molinari bought that camp, Joe was one of my favorite people. When he didn't know what water was all about, you know, and he really was not much of a camper. He wanted a motorboat, and he got a motor, and we had a wooden flat bottom boat, and he borrowed that to put his motor on. And he couldn't get it started. He went out there and he yanked on it and it would just pop a few times. And right, just a little up from your camp, all of a sudden it started and the back went off. And that was the first time I really tried diving. We went up there and I got a rope around it. He pulled it out. But he also built that chimney. Was that chimney there when you?
And originally it was an indoor-outdoor chimney.
Yeah.
But
Over the years.
It smoked. He spent a fortune on it. You know?
and it never. Charlie and Clara never used it because
Nobody
it smoked.
couldn't.
Right. Well, it had a single flue for the fireplace outdoors, which was really much lower than the one in the camp, and it just didn't draw right. But ultimately, Charlie filled it with concrete. This tree, there's a big maple tree here on the side of the house, and half of it blew over on the roof once, and they had that removed and the roof fixed. But then the other half, years later, blew over and knocked off just the top of the chimney. And he was so mad that he went up and filled it with concrete. And then it started leaving the camp. And there was this huge 6x6 thing of concrete underneath the camp. So as the chimney left, it picked up the camp. So I had to have it all taken down. The whole thing. And it really was a nice.
Oh, it was beautiful
cobblestone.
stonework in that thing.
But absolutely worthless.
Absolutely worthless. And
It always was, right from the beginning.
yeah, oh, day one.
Oh.
Ah. Oh dear.
Never worked.
Joe didn't. I don't think he really liked it up here very much.
I was gonna say he didn't stay long.
No.
Although,
To build a chimney.
well, he from 38 until 43. He
Yeah.
owned it, so he stayed longer than you might expect.
Well, he owned it longer. He might never have been here.
They had their own electrical system, I think. There was a generator in the garage,
Was there?
and it was somehow, I don't remember, but I think Laverne Pierce somehow helped him get that going, or somehow. Of course, Laverne worked at the railroad.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of railroad stuff, up there in the
Well, of
garage.
course, I suppose some of them would have this so-called Delco system.
Was the batteries?
Yeah, and a lot of rural homes had that. We never had one, but they'd have that before the electricity came.
Because there's some guy who collected those things finally came and bought it
Oh,
because he wanted whatever it was. Took it out of the garage because it was always in there on a concrete
To
platform.
the generator? Gas
Well, yes, because there was a piston to it. Isn't
I
that?
think there was a gas motor which generated something
Yeah.
to recharge these big batteries.
Okay. I never knew what. I mean, it was there. It just was there.
That's when all the farms that I knew when I had these, and there weren't many of them. They had this generator, and then they had that cellar full of